Welcome back, guys. Save Point. We haven't done this in like a long time, but hey, welcome back to another podcast of Save Point. It's one of the boys here today, JRPG, JP for short. Also here is DC Black
Oh,
and the one and only Crash.
whoa!
Nice one. All right. So today, what we're going to talk about today is WWE podcast. A lot has happened since the Royal Rumble back in January. We had WrestleMania, we had the Superstar Shakeup, we had the Greatest Royal Rumble that just happened recently, and a lot has gone on in terms of what happened at the Superstar Shakeup. You were expecting a lot of big names to switch. You were expecting Raw, the A show, to get a lot of the main players from SmackDown, and quite frankly, we did not get that actually. If you look at what Raw got a lot of outside of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they got a lot of mid card talent and a lot of players that weren't really being used on SmackDown. So DC, I'm gonna kick it to you first. What did you think of this year's Superstar Shakeup?
I think they did curve. Like they really was trying to protect Roman. Like they were trying so hard to protect this man, but it's still a failure.
Okay, and what do you mean by protect Roman? Because like outside of what, again, as I just mentioned, the only thing they really got out of the Superstar Shakeup was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now they did get some other talent. They were able to get Jinder Mahal, who we'll get to in a sec. He was the U.S. champion going to Raw that day, but then he actually lost his title, his opening match on Raw, to Jeff Hardy. Other than Jinder Mahal, they got, I believe, the Fashion Files, Brazingo. They got the Riot Squad. So again, protecting Roman is in. They didn't want any more main talent on Raw's roster to make him look that more special. DC.
So like you have to look at who they sent over to SmackDown. So as far as with people that would be main eventers, they sent Jeff Hardy over, Samoa Joe over. After he literally just cut like the greatest promo on Roman. Straight up got booted to SmackDown. And I believe that it is legitimately because to protect Roman. Because if you have people like Samoa Joe and everybody in the main event, like Samoa Joe could actually stand toe to toe with Brock Lesnar, to a degree.
He has before.
He could rock with Brock Lesnar, especially with his style, with Brock Lesnar's style, as well as how hard he hit. Samoa Joe can take it and get you right back.
All right. Now, Crash, what do you think about Superstar Shakeup? Like, who do you think got the better end of the stick? Was it Raw or was it SmackDown?
Oh, 100%. SmackDown got the better end of the stick.
And so just to catch everybody up on what SmackDown got. As DC just mentioned, SmackDown was able to get Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy, who had just won the U.S. title from Jinder Mahal on that episode of Raw, and was sent to SmackDown. Also, they were able to get Big Cass, who was returning after a torn ACL injury 7 to 8 months ago, and they were also, I guess technically, it was part of the Superstar Shakeup, but we all knew she was coming over. Asuka was named officially as a member of the Raw roster. SmackDown roster.
And that was to protect Ronda.
True, but at the same time, they also have on Raw's side, they were able to do some interesting call-ups from NXT. One being former women's champion Ember Moon. Now, do you guys see Ember Moon possibly feuding with Ronda or feuding with Alexa Bliss? Like, what do you guys see Ember Moon's role within the company now that she's on the main roster finally? DC, we'll just start with you.
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't see them doing much of anything with Ember Moon. Like I don't, and it's unfortunate. But I really don't see. I see her actually. To be honest with you, I'll change that. I see them actually turning her heel. Jax.
Really? Now,
Yeah.
now, Crash, what do you think about that? Ember Moon. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Ember Moon, she was actually the one to take over as women's champion NXT after Asuka left to join the main roster. Crash, what do you think of Ember Moon and what she can do in the women's division on Raw, which toe to toe with SmackDown is actually legit so far? So, what do you think of Ember Moon?
See, here's my thing, and I'll just say it this way: I 100% agree with DC Black here, but I don't think they're gonna turn her heel. I just feel like she is probably going to be irrelevant for a couple of months. And I'm gonna tell you why. And this is the problem that the women's division have over the men's division, especially with the way stuff is going right now. Now, the men's division is definitely bigger than the women's division, but if you notice that the women's division has gotten a whole lot bigger than it was before. Before, per show, there were probably about 6, potentially 10 women. But now, each roster is actually increased in the number of women that they have. But you all have to remember that they're still all chasing one title. That's a problem.
Which rumor has it that's about to change.
And that's a good thing, because see, if they're all chasing one title, there's not a 2-title thing going on, at least for each show at that point. Then a lot of people just kind of go by the wayside as like fodder, and then everybody else, they're just kind of like fighting over the same thing with the same people. And a good example of this is the whole Charlotte versus Sasha thing. For a while, those are the only 2 people they pushed, even though they didn't have that big of a roster. But you notice that everybody else, no matter how talented they were, just was nowhere in the picture. To the point where it got irritating. Which I'm glad that they separated the 2 after a minute. But that's my thing. It's like when you have so many women joining the rosters now, and you're still only running one title, it's like, sure, you can think of it as everybody can be relevant, but that's never what WWE does. Nobody's ever always relevant. It's always people in like tiers of how relevant they are. In the men's roster is who's relevant to be champion, who's relevant to be mid-card champion, tag team champions for everybody else that they don't want to run by themselves. So that's really it.
So would you guys propose that, of course, they would need a tag team division in the women's division, but since there is the women's champion on both Raw and SmackDown, would they need a mid-card title, singles title on the women's division as well?
See,
like,
and
since the men have, if they can't win the US title, or sorry, if they can't win the WWE title or the Universal title, they can always go for the IC title, or they can go for the United States title. Would the women need, would the ladies need a secondary title to coexist with the women's championship? Something that's on par with the US title and the IC title for the men?
I would say yes, but to be honest, especially with the way they've been building the rosters, honestly, a tag team title would probably be the better option.
Actually,
what if they did both?
If they did both, that would be fine, but I don't think they could pull off both with the way they would have to continue to make the show work, I guess, if that makes sense. Like right now, just adding one would work, and it will work out very, very well. If they added a second one, that would mean that they would also have to, this could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. They would definitely have to give the women a lot more screen time. If they don't give the women more screen time and add more championships, they're going to lose the relevancy of the championship, or they're pretty much just going to have something to sit in there and it's not really going to matter. Or they could do that and give them more time, but then it's really, really, really going to show you how bad some of the men's division are on Raw and SmackDown. And it's not necessarily that they're all bad. It's just, it'll really, really bring even further to light how badly they are managed. And I think that's the problem.
Well, okay. Actually, you said that because I confirm, but pretty much at SummerSlam, they're going to unveil the women's tag team belts.
That's good.
Okay.
And
that was good.
Oh, with them doing that, that's the only way I can see Ember Moon being relevant. They're gonna make her, and you can kind of start seeing actually them kind of sowing the seeds of it with like you having people click together than not like Mickey James and Alexa Bliss.
Yep.
And you got small little duos like that. Even the Iconics.
Yep.
There's a reason why that the Iconics
Absolution,
brought
right
SmackDown
squad.
And this is what I was thinking too. And they even paired off Ronda with Natalia too.
No, granted, Crash. That's because Natalia is Ronda Rousey's trainer as well.
And I guarantee you on Raw when they reveal
her first, because Ronda's actually supposed to wrestle at Backlash. Wrestle Mickey James.
Mm-hmm.
So that's to give her, because they're at the end of the day, WrestleMania. Then Ronda's next WrestleMania match is going to be Charlotte. So what they're trying to do is like, okay, give her that experience. Okay, well, we're gonna just group you with some experienced wrestlers, so that while they will protect you, good, it will basically be like, okay, you're gonna have to really put yourself, like, show your wrestling skills in the ring, because these are veterans, essentially. Because Natalia's basically like I'll say outside of Mickey James, the most experienced wrestler in the division.
Yeah, can't argue that.
The only
Now,
to that
sorry.
would
Go ahead,
be,
DC.
I was just gonna say the only exception I think it would be to that is Asuka. Count Asuka because women's wrestling in Japan is not really that big.
You also got to count the language barrier too. Now, moving actually from the women's division, we'll go back into the men's division with the current pay-per-view that just passed, the Greatest Royal Rumble, or the greatest flop of a pay-per-view, is what I like to call it. Now, what you saw were all the titles were on the line. We actually had the final for the vacant Raw Tag Team titles between the Bar and Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. Now, judging on how the event went, including the first ever 50-man Royal Rumble, Crash, what did you think of the event?
Of the event, what? The Greatest Royal Rumble?
Yes.
I actually did not get a chance to watch the whole thing. I know the results, but I can't even explain if it was like a good showing or not right now.
I actually watched the whole thing. Yeah, like it was sad because it actually looked good. But I'll say the only matches that kind of looked good that I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting, but it don't matter. John Cena versus Triple H, that was pretty cool. The Raw Tag Team match wasn't bad. It was okay.
Okay. Now, what about? I think for me, the match that I saw that actually was the best one was the IC title ladder match between Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and The Miz. Now, the ending on that match, if for those who hadn't seen it, Finn Balor literally was climbing up the ladder, reached for the title, was about to grab the title, but Seth Rollins jumps off from the top rope onto the ladder and snatches the title for the victory. DC, you mentioned that was a crazy finish to that match. What did you think of it?
See?
DC, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't know. I thought you was talking to Crash. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah, like, that was literally the funniest finish I had ever seen in my life. Like, it was so funny because he straight grabbed it. It was almost like you watch somebody break into your house, steal your stuff, and then just walk right back out. Like, it was so funny.
Now, would you put that as a more humorous finish than Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns ambulance match? DC?
This was funny in the sense of like you straight would never have. I've never seen somebody in a ladder match reach for the belt, the other person run up, grab it, then just fall off the ladder and win.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen.
Yeah, it was like Seth Rollins. You got to say Seth Rollins definitely had hang time on that one.
The fact, and then what's funny though is the way the camera angle was. The camera angle was so focused on Finn Balor grabbing the title. Then all of a sudden, you just saw out the corner of the camera My man Seth Rollins just jumped from the turnbuckle onto the ladder, grab it, and then just fall down.
Mm-hmm. Now, also on the card, you had, let's see, what was also on the card? Okay, so Brock Lesnar defended his title in a rematch with Roman Reigns from WrestleMania 34. And in the closing minutes of the match, Roman Reigns spears Brock Lesnar through the steel cage, and they both land on the floor. But since Brock Lesnar's back hit the floor first, he was declared the winner and retained his title. Now, we were talking about this before we started. With that championship loss, and with Roman Reigns at this point starting to lose a little momentum with all the opportunity in the world to win the Universal title, would you guys consider this like the nail in the coffin on his championship pursuits at this time? Crash?
Honestly, yeah, I do. I really think they should stop at this point. And I think Vince is finally getting the idea that he should stop.
And how so?
I mean, look, the way that they had to do the finish at WrestleMania made perfect sense. And then the way that I'll put it this way, they tried to subtly do it, because I know I just said I didn't watch Greatest Royal Rumble, but I did kind of watch the tail end part of the Roman versus Brock thing. And the way they tried to finish it, they tried to controversial finish it, which, to be honest, controversially, Roman won because his feet did touch the ground before Brock's feet actually touched the ground. But at the same time, I feel like that's how they're gonna leave it, because it's like they can have Roman tote around like he never really lost, even though he doesn't have a championship.
Now, with that being said,
I mean,
I'm sorry, DC.
But here's the thing: like, if you watch the match, they're saying that, but technically that's not true, because that's the same way that Braun Strowman won against Big Show in the cage match, and Braun Strowman won.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I want you to understand how they came out when they first said it, right? They said you win if both feet touch the floor. Brock Lesnar's feet never touched the floor.
Okay. Now, with Roman Reigns losing, who do you think Brock Lesnar's next contender or next opponent would be? Now, we talked about, well, we were saying Samoa Joe, but Samoa Joe moved over to SmackDown. Mm-hmm. Where do you guys see Brock Lesnar feuding with next?
Lashley.
He got the feud well, I mean Lashley, but no, I don't think it's gonna be Lashley. Not yet.
Well, who else is he gonna feud with that's gonna be
physically imposing?
Not even physically imposing.
Are we talking long-term future or immediate future? Like,
we're talking immediate.
Immediate, like, because Brock Lesnar, even though he's on a part-time schedule, is the Universal title holder. He has to defend it basically at every pay-per-view now, since the pay-per-views are dual branded now. So, DC, who do you think?
He's about to wrestle Roman again.
He's gonna wrestle Roman again for the Universal title.
Because I think Backlash is what, next Sunday?
Yep,
I believe so. Yes, and I don't think it's gonna be defended there, but
and this coming Monday is gonna be the go home show for Backlash. Oh yeah, he about to straight wrestle Roman again.
Win, wrestle him. Win
at Backlash.
He can't. He's wrestling Samoa Joe at Backlash.
Yeah, Roman Reigns already has a match with Samoa Joe.
Forgot about that. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess the next pay-per-view after that, I mean, I can see him probably going against Braun Strowman. I don't think he's gonna do Lashley just yet. If he does Lashley next, I'd be kind of shocked considering the way they're building up Lashley. They having Lashley take on like really. The way they're building Lashley right now is very strange, because it's like they kind of gun shy about putting him in the main card because Roman's there. So it's just like, you really want to put him there, or do we just want to wait?
See, and here's my thing. I'm gonna just pull this back. Take the reins on this one. So, I honestly think that if they want to build up Lashley, they need to have Lashley face Roman. And the reason why I feel like that they should do that is because I don't want to say it'd be like a passing of the torch, but it will be that moment where they can actually have Roman lose to somebody and then have that person go on to fight Brock Lesnar, and it honestly seemed like it's doable when the person was already in a position to do it, if you get what I mean. Like, so Lashley is already built as somebody that should be able to take on Brock Lesnar. If he was able to beat Roman as well, then that would perfectly put him in that position that when they decide to put him against Brock Lesnar, it would make sense. Now, what they would probably do to completely fuck over the whole idea is, of course, make it so that Roman beats Lashley, but I don't see them doing that. And like you said, they're trying to be kind of being gun shy about Lashley, but this is also going into the idea that I was talking about before about the booking in WWE being so shit that it's like, well, who else can Lashley face that he can beat that would give him legitimate credit? And the only ones that are in that area right now are Roman and Braun Strowman. And I honestly think they should not make it Braun Strowman in this situation. Braun Strowman, sure. Like how you were saying, like immediate future, yeah, I think Brock Lesnar should fight Braun Strowman. However, the only problem with that is I don't feel like Braun Strowman should lose to Lesnar the next time he faces him. And by them removing Samoa Joe from Raw and putting him on SmackDown, I believe this is where they shot themselves in the fucking foot. Because see, we could have had Lashley fight Samoa Joe and then had Samoa Joe take the fall while beating Roman. And that would have been the perfect transition over. Because he could have beat Roman. Everybody would have been like, okay, yeah, Samoa Joe won. Roman could have been pissed about it, but they could have also pushed Roman towards just going for the IC title at a point. But they didn't decide to do that. They decided to move the only middle transitioning point to SmackDown. And honestly, with the way they stacked SmackDown, honestly, they didn't even need to move him.
I mean, but also, too, like, you have to think that they could still do a situation where, let's just say, Braun Strowman does beat Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. They can still go with the title up until SummerSlam if they really pull the trigger on Bobby Lashley. But if he does defend the title at Backlash, I mean, and then also too, Roman could still technically do it because I mean, it's not like we have not seen situations, Brian, where they could make a stipulation that it'd be Roman versus Samoa Joe, and whoever wins that match faces Brock Lesnar at the end of the night. Roman beats Samoa Joe, and then Roman lose again to Brock Lesnar.
I'm going to tell you right now, if they do that, they would be damn fools. That would be the stupidest thing they can come up with.
I mean, they did it with Daniel Bryan.
They did it with Daniel Bryan, and sure, that worked out for Daniel Bryan at the time. But you also have to remember how much freaking momentum Daniel Bryan had at the time. If they do that with Roman, they will end up ruining his character a lot worse than what they've already ruined it. That would be absolutely career suicide if they didn't already kill him already as a character.
I mean, I agree. Like, I be far, but and that's why I said I agree with the situation you brought up. Like, they put, because of the way they did the trades, it put Raw in a very bad predicament. Oh, and also too, I don't think Jay, you talked about this. Also shot themselves in the foot with putting Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre together. Easily put Drew McIntyre in the main event and had him as a contender and had him and Braun Strowman going against each other. Braun be your face and Drew be your heel, and you could easily have them feuding, working up to Brock Lesnar.
They could, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say you could even throw Bobby Lashley into the mix. Have them wrestling each other for a number one contender spot.
They could, and they still can, though. That's what you meant. Why do you think no?
Because they put Drew McIntyre with Dolph now, and they're making them a tag team, which I don't understand why that is even a thing. Like, they legitimately look like a poor man's version of Shawn Michaels and Diesel, and I guarantee you, it's gonna work with. It'll do one or two things. It's either gonna work really well for Drew McIntyre because he was a face in NXT and now he's in as a heel, and this is going to, and being with Dolph is going to make him outshine Ziggler, which is going to make Dolph Ziggler turn on him, just like Shawn did to Diesel. Or this is going to kill Drew McIntyre's main roster push.
Which is
you can look at it that way, but I want you to also remember this. It's not like they've never had like a situation where people were set up as a tag team where the tag team wasn't still kind of going and feuding for a main title. Case in point, look at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Yeah, that didn't really work out too well for them, but at the same time, it really kind of did. And now they're on Raw too, so it makes a whole lot of sense if they work that angle too.
But you have to also understand, like, those two were different in the sense that it wasn't necessarily, they weren't helping each other. Truth be told, if you really look at it, Kevin Owens was the one helping Sami Zayn because people lost interest in Sami Zayn.
Sure. And what makes you think that Dolph Ziggler won't do the same? Dolph Ziggler's career is pretty much fucking done in WWE, and it's because of WWE. Sure, people would love to see Dolph Ziggler come out with some wins, but at this point, we are so beyond the point of thinking that Dolph Ziggler is just gonna win like that it doesn't even matter. They could actually just, if they decided to, and let's be honest, I have zero confidence in a creative team to think this hard about it, but they could have totally done it and just had Dolph Ziggler be that wild card that makes it happen for him.
I mean, true enough, but I mean, I don't know. Like, Raw, I would say this, Raw, and I know we will probably, we got a couple other things we're going to talk about, but I really feel like Raw's men's roster is in a very bad predicament.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And there's only like 2 outs. It's either can be really good, like for instance, Bray Wyatt and Woken Matt Hardy. They're like, the long-term plans for Bray is for him to turn on Matt and him to be revealed as the leader of Sanity. Like, I don't understand, why would you do that?
I hope that's really not what's about to happen.
That's literally, like, they're kind of sowing the seeds already for basically that to happen. I'm like, oh, Sanity don't need that. Like, Sanity had a leader, and it was Eric Young. Like, you don't need that. Sanity by itself, strong core as is. Like, you don't need that. Like, you don't need to put Bray Wyatt in there. Bray Wyatt is actually working really well where he is.
Okay.
Now,
wait, before we even go into that, because I want to bring up something that you brought up that I still found flabbergasting, but it's like, you know what? Let's turn this bad situation into a good situation. Bad situation that you brought up before. The fact of Roman Reigns beating Samoa Joe and going on to face Brock Lesnar later on in the night. Awful idea. I'm sorry. That's still an awful idea. But hear me out on this one. Why not? This will actually make that whole idea not an awful idea and actually an amazing idea. Let's say that happens, right? Samoa Joe wins. And he goes on to face Brock Lesnar. And honestly, let's say he's looking to look like he could actually potentially beat Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns comes out and attacks both of them, turning Roman Reigns heel.
Which they need to do.
Tell me that wouldn't be like the most ideal way to make that terrible, terrible option actually fucking viable. Like, comes out, attacks them both. And let's just say, because all of Brock Lesnar's matches are all no holds barred. Let's say Brock Lesnar somehow gets the strength to cover Samoa Joe because whatever Roman does severely damages Samoa Joe for a while. And then from there, it turns into like this weird feud that they could potentially have later on down the line since they're on different shows now. but Brock Lesnar gets his chance to retain, which also still puts it in the idea that, hey, Samoa Joe could really, really beat Brock Lesnar. Then you'd make Roman heel, which honestly everybody wants it at this point because everybody already hates him. You might as well make him heel, and you'd probably be able to make him likable as a heel. It's like, I don't know why they won't pull that trigger, and that would be one of the best ways to pull the trigger is by doing a stupid idea that most people would instantly hate until you finish it off in a night like that, and then people will be like, oh my god, I'm 100% behind this.
I can see that. I don't know. That'd be weird. What you think, Jay?
Think about what? About who beating who now? Because I was like, you guys are throwing like so many different matches. I was
okay,
like, which
we were talking about we went back to the original thing before we like heavily tangent about the whole Roman Reigns fighting 2 times at Backlash. Him fighting Samoa Joe winning, and the stipulation is whoever wins get to go on to fight Brock Lesnar in the same night. So
and you guys were having Roman Reigns go over Bobby Lashley or Braun Strowman?
No. Because see, right now at Backlash, Roman Reigns is supposed to fight Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Right? DC Black was saying that they should probably, or that they'll probably end up making a stipulation like at Monday Night's Raw tomorrow that they add that Brock Lesnar is gonna face the winner between those two, Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns. Now, he said that Roman would probably win, go on to fight Brock at the end of the night and lose. And I told him that was a terrible idea, right? Now I said, flip the switch and make this a good idea. If they did go about it that way, instead of having Roman win, have Roman lose to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe goes on to actually face Brock Lesnar and looks like he might get Brock Lesnar. Let's say he somehow comes off with a Coquita clutch, right? Yeah. And as soon as this happens and it seems like Brock might lose, Roman Reigns music hits. Roman Reigns comes out and beats both of them bloody with a steel chair. And then at the end, when he leaves both of them in the ring, knocked out, because you know all Brock Lesnar's matches are like no hold bars matches. Brock Lesnar kind of gets up and covers Samoa Joe, winning and keeping the title. But it's basically fuels for Roman Reigns to be a heel. People would love it, but it also keeps his feud with Samoa Joe strong. It'll keep his feud with Brock Lesnar strong. It will appease the fans because now he's no longer being pushed as this big baby face, and he'll be a heel, which means they can bill him differently and probably bill him a lot better.
Now, okay, so basically, I'll just say this right now. The idea that you guys were mentioning just now, it seems reminiscent of Daniel Bryan and Triple H from WrestleMania 30.
Which was also said earlier, which, yeah.
That's why I was like, okay, now it all makes sense. Overall, that just sounds kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you.
It does.
I would just say, look, overall, just based on Roman Reigns' mic skills and his demeanor, it might be in their best interest to turn him heel, because I think him turning heel would actually save his career in a way that, you know, he's in his natural element. Like, let's just be real. Roman Reigns looks like a douchebag in person. Like, he looked like he's not like this, you know, Superman, here for the people type of character. He seems like look, forget all y'all. Y'all didn't have my back then. Y'all not having my back now. So I can care less what y'all think.
Right.
So yes, that could play. So I would say they need to turn him heel. But again, we've been saying that he need to turn heel for like the last
year and a half.
Yes, I was about to say 2 years. He needs to turn heel. So that's where I stand on that whole thing. I don't think that should happen. I think, look, at Backlash, it should be like, honestly, they should push Bobby Lashley at this point. They might as well push Bobby Lashley, because Bobby Lashley, you know, since he left WWE 10 years ago, he was in TNA and other promotions, and he's actually worked on his mic skills and his in-ring talent. And honestly, physically, and, you know, just like the match he would have with a Brock Lesnar type of person would actually be a good match in terms of he could withstand Brock Lesnar's MMA background. There wouldn't be any, elbow strikes to bleed anybody out. No technical knockouts, and that could lead to Lashley, because you don't really see a lot of black heavyweight champions in WWE to take the title off Brock Lesnar. Now, with Brock Lesnar, I heard that he also signed this extension after WrestleMania in the short term, because he's still open to that idea of returning to UFC. So I think Bobby Lashley at some point is going to be Universal Champion, but maybe not at Backlash, but probably by SummerSlam. And I think that's when Brock Lesnar is going to take a back seat and kind of just drift away a little bit after SummerSlam. But that's just my main concern about, or not main concern, but that's just my, prediction on what Bobby Lashley can do against Brock Lesnar. Now, the last thing, actually, fellas, we're going to get into today is the SmackDown men's division. Where does it go next? With the addition of a Samoa Joe, but also you have to go with AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Where, for those who hadn't seen WrestleMania, actually, Shinsuke Nakamura, after losing the title match against AJ Styles, delivered low blows, thus establishing him as a heel. When that happened, we were all watching it and said, wow, I don't know if that should have happened, but luckily Crash saved the day and said, no, he actually could be a heel, and he can just basically be psychotic and just going crazy and beating everybody up. Now, since then, he's actually shown great quality of being a heel by delivering constant low blows and dirty mechanics in his matches since he turned heel. Let's see, we're going to start off with Crash, and where do you see this feud, concluding that between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura? Because so far their matches haven't been what they have done in Japan.
So, first of all, as you mentioned, I'd like to say I told you so. Because this heel thing with
you're that conceited goat. That's what you
are. Yeah, I'm definitely the conceited goat. Because I told you, all they had to do was make him fucking insane, and it would work. It would work out very well. Y'all looked at me like I nah, that's not gonna work, and I'm like, no, this will work. And I'm sorry, it's worked very well. The only thing about him being a heel that I don't like is that freaking change to his song was terrible. They need to be ashamed of themselves for that. That is like the only bad thing about the heel turn right now. As far as what's gonna happen, as far as their feud ending, I think Shinsuke's gonna win the title from him by the end of it. I don't know if it's gonna be, when is their next feud? Backlash? Backlash? What's the next pay-per-view after Backlash?
After Backlash, let's see. Backlash is in May, and I'll probably have another one at the end of it. I am not sure. I'm not familiar. I have to get more familiar with the summer pay-per-views outside of SummerSlam.
When is SummerSlam?
SummerSlam's in August.
The next one after that, I believe, is Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank.
We have. That's just the 6th. This.
Money in the Bank is June 17th. Then you have Extreme Rules, and then you have SummerSlam, and that's where the feud could end by SummerSlam at the latest.
Okay, so I feel like Shinsuke is going to win it and hold it at least until SummerSlam.
You think he's going to win it at Backlash, or do you think he might win it at Backlash? Okay, so at Backlash, you think
he's going to win it at Backlash, and he's going to hold it all the way until SummerSlam,
where AJ Styles regains his title.
Yes, unless somehow, some way they come up with a better person to take the title from him that's a face. But at that point, who else on SmackDown right now that's a face?
Daniel Bryan.
The face?
Daniel Bryan, but at the same time, I know with Daniel Bryan, he just got cleared after being retired for 3 years because of concussion issues.
And the reason why I'm saying no for that is because I feel like they're going to have Daniel Bryan do an IC run first.
Or a U.S. title, for that matter.
Or, I'm sorry, a U.S. title run first.
Title at all right now. I think he's going to be feuding for a while with Big Cass.
What about Jeff Hardy?
Jeff
Hardy?
That
could be a name. If a lot of people forget, 10 years ago, Jeff Hardy was the face of WWE, where he had a WWE title run. Now, he's a little bit older now, age 40. I think he'll be 41 this year. But, I mean, AJ Styles is 40 as well.
I don't think they're They're not gonna do anything particular with him. As far as like, they'll probably keep him with the U.S. title for a while and just let him hold it until the feud with Shinsuke and AJ is over. And after that, then they're gonna make him probably feud with Shinsuke or AJ.
Now,
I don't know about that. I think only reason why I say that is because you still got the factor of Samoa Joe. So I think, and then you have Sanity coming, and you have Andrade Siamas coming.
So I feel
So
like
I think-
Sanity is gonna drop to the tag team for a minute.
indeed.
And
Yeah,
who else is coming?
Sanity. You can send Eric Young to go after Jeff Hardy, or you can have him go after Jeff Hardy. But I think honestly, after the title, it's probably going to be Samoa Joe or Andrade Siamas is going to be there.
Now, I would
That title
I
picture.
would say after the AJ and Shinsuke feud, I think they'll probably have. I mean, I would think they would give Jeff Hardy another shot as a world champion because at the time of his world championship reigns 10 years ago, he was going through a lot of substance abuse issues that I think he's been cleaned up since. Now, at the time of it, now 10 years ago when he was champion, again, he was that baby. He was the baby face that everybody loved, bigger than John Cena at the time. I think they could give him one last hoorah before he gets too old with a world title reign and he can't do it anymore. One more title reign, and I'm not going to say it's going to happen at SummerSlam. I think that would be more so later in the year, like around, dare I say, TLC or Clash of Champions.
I could see that. But that's why I said that his feuding with like the actual main title holders won't happen until after SummerSlam. Like right now, he can just be the mid-card champion for a minute, and they can have that happen to make sure that he's doing okay and everything is going well with him. Same thing with Daniel Bryan. I feel like he'd feud with Daniel Bryan before anybody, but right now he's face, and him feuding with Daniel Bryan as a face probably won't happen until once again after SummerSlam, which I feel like if he did, he would lose to Daniel Bryan or something like that, lose that title, and then would not go back for the U.S. title. He would be going back for the WWE Championship after that.
Now, here's a guy that actually could be used as a tool in a U.S. title feud with Jeff Hardy and Daniel Bryan, Shelton Benjamin. Why not him?
Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right. I completely forgot about Shelton Benjamin.
Because when they broke up Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable, they sent Chad Gable over to Raw in that Superstar Shakeup, and they kept Shelton Benjamin on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's a guy that is remained a heel. They didn't turn him back face. They made him a heel. Yep. Could they use him in a, dare I say, a triple threat match for the U.S. title to get the belt off Jeff Hardy and put it on a Shelton Benjamin character? Maybe Daniel Bryan with Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, that sounds good.
A lot of people keep forgetting. A lot of people keep forgetting about Shelton Benjamin because while his mic skills aren't the greatest, I mean they're not terrible.
His mic skills aren't bad.
But a lot of people forget he's one of the most talented guys, not just on SmackDown, but just in WWE in general. Like matches that I would like to see him have, and I'm surprised they haven't pushed for yet, is that he could do a match with Daniel Bryan or an AJ Styles. Like he's up there in terms of athleticism with those guys. So I think long term, Jeff Hardy could drop that title to Shelton Benjamin. That's how you get the title off him, so he doesn't hold it for too long.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's just, once again, like I say, I completely forgot about it because Shelton Benjamin has been stuck with Chad Gable so long, I completely wrote off all tag teams in any main title run. So, like, once you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot they did split them up. That actually makes a lot more sense because, see, I was trying to figure out, I'm like, oh, this U.S. title thing just don't seem like it's going to work out well. And I'm like, I guess they could use The Miz, but it's like, wait, no. They could use Shelton Benjamin. That will work out very well because then that's how they get it off of Jeff Hardy. Shelton Benjamin is known to be a particularly good wrestler, especially by himself. And like you said, he's a heel right now. It will work. He could work off of his being the gold standard thing, the U.S. gold standard. He can literally live off of like Glory Day type of heel energy, and it would work out very, very well. It's going to probably be weird because I feel like a lot of people will end up liking him too much as a heel because, let's be honest, Shelton Benjamin, even though, you know, they made him as heel, I don't think too many people ever hated Shelton Benjamin outside of when he first came in WWE, when he was with Kurt Angle and Charlie Haas. After that, even like when he started feuding and stuff with other people like Triple H and stuff, people freaking loved Shelton.
And they still do now. Like, a lot of people still say, why haven't they put Shelton Benjamin to be a world champion yet?
Yeah.
Like, so even it with him as a heel, everyone's just like, yeah, we still love you, Shelton. So, I mean, they could turn him face at some point, but right now they should work on him being a heel and add him into that U.S. title pick with Jeff Hardy and a Daniel Bryan. So that way, you know, like, give him some interesting feuds. Give Daniel Bryan like a good, credible opponent to be like, okay, who could Daniel Bryan be? Yeah, he's feuding with Big Cass, but let's just be real. That's not a long-term feud. Give him honestly, I hate to say, like, Shelton Benjamin is on par with a Dolph Ziggler. Really talented, not being utilized correctly. Why not give Daniel Bryan that first credible opponent to be Shelton Benjamin? That's just my
I agree with that.
I don't think Daniel Bryan is gonna have a belt anytime soon. I think what they're gonna end up doing is have him wrestle against Big Cass first, and then he's going to go to the Miz.
I agree with that.
Gonna settle that before he even
because everybody knows the long-term feud that Daniel Bryan's gonna have is the Miz, and when they cross paths again.
And then in the meantime, I think you're gonna end up seeing probably like a mix-up of, like I said, when we still haven't seen Andrade Siamas yet. We haven't seen Sanity yet. I think we're gonna ended up seeing stuff like, I'm probably gonna put Andrade in the main event picture. If not, you might see him go against Jeff Hardy or Eric Young. But I think, like AJ Styles, for instance, his next, if he drops the belt, his next is probably going to be Samoa Joe. I think they both kind of they haven't wrestled each other in WWE at all. And they've had amazing matches.
All right, I'll give you that one. So, with everything happening in WWE right now, where do you guys see the direction of, you know, with the pay-per-views being dual branded and people and the superstar shakeup behind us now and moving forward? I mean, who do you guys think? Where do you guys see the? All right, how about a prediction right here? Who's going to be your WWE champion and your Universal champion at the end of this year?
The Universal Champion is probably going to be, depends on how long Bobby Lashley stays. It's going to be one of three people. It's either going to, or in how long Brock Lesnar stays. Because I can honestly see Brock Lesnar in some really weird coincidence did okay for him to fight in the UFC and wrestle at the same time. I could see some weird coincidence happening where he ends up having the UFC heavyweight belt and the Universal title at the same time.
Okay.
I can see that being very viable, and it builds him up to be that much of a credible threat. Either that situation will happen, either we see Bobby Lashley with the title, or in this third option only happens if Brock Lesnar is not in the picture. Option is that I could probably see you having a situation where you'll either have like a triple threat in Braun Strowman. Oh, Braun Strowman might have the title, but you'll have a triple threat between Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre. Because Vince loves Drew McIntyre. Like, he loves Drew McIntyre.
Loved him for his first run.
Jay?
Okay. No, I was saying, were you still going, DC?
Option, but far as with the heavyweight championship, it's either probably still gonna be AJ or Samoa Joe. 18.
Okay. Now, Crash, what are your predictions for who's going to be the champions, Universal and WWE at the end of the year?
I agree with him completely about the Universal thing. I think it's either going to honestly be Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, or Lashley. And the only reason why I feel like it'll be those is I feel like if Brock Lesnar loses it to Lashley, it won't be until much later. Like it'll probably happen at that end of the year thing, just to be like one of those, oh my god, he lost in the year type of things. But he'd probably set up for his WrestleMania match or something with him. Now, what I can also see happening is instead of doing that, they end up building up Braun Strowman to win it somewhere around after this whole crap with Roman Reigns finally blows over.
Okay.
And I can honestly see this because Braun Strowman won that Royal Rumble. They are building Braun up pretty good. They're also building Braun up as a face too.
Okay.
So it makes a lot of sense. And then for the WWE Championship, honestly, I don't know. I just know it won't be AJ.
Yeah, I don't think AJ's going to be champion in the year. He's had a pretty long title run as is. I think he's at about over 6 months now.
Right. So I don't think it'll be AJ.
6 months.
What was that, DC?
Really, 6 months?
I believe he won the title in November. It's going on 6 months.
It would be 6 months if he won it in November.
Yeah, I think he won it in late November, so I think this coming May, late May, is going to mark 6 months as his champion.
No, it will be this month. Oh wait, no, yeah, you're right. If you said late,
yep.
I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, guys, I think that wraps it up for today. So with everything going on, WWE wise, we'll be back next time to do yet another podcast on that. Also, with all the other, check out our next podcast when we discuss the new Infinity War, where Yume Juice Master is going to be joining us, of course, for that, and what the heck happened in that movie. And at this point, just gotta, kick back, do more podcasts in the future, and we'll check you guys out next time. This is Save Point with JRPG, JP, DC Black, and Crash. See you guys next time.
Woo!